Hey everybody, and welcome to today's STEMpump camp, where we're going to be using motion design, or creating motion design little videos using Figma and Jitter. It won't be really an introduction to Figma, but more of an introduction to Jitter. So if you want to learn Figma, I suggest looking at some of our previous Figma camps, and we'll have obviously more Figma content coming out in the future. But yeah, right now I am in the Figma file that I've created for this camp. You can access it from the camp's sidebar. It'll show up. If you're on YouTube, you can go down to the description and grab the link for this. It's also published on Figma community if you'd like to kind of go through there. But yeah, we can kind of jump straight into it. You're only going to need two accounts for this, a Jitter account and a Figma account. So this is Jitter. You just sign up with Google or whatever and you're good to go. You can see import with Figma, new file. But yeah, so we can kind of jump it straight into it and talk a little bit about motion design. So there's a lot here because it's also supposed to be a little bit more self-guided, which I'm trying to do. But you can see that this is a very simple animation, right? Changing from blue to red. And in Figma, we can actually do that already. We can already set up two different things and create an animation using the prototype feature. So I've already kind of done it right here, so I'll do it right above here. I'll remove it for later case, but I can just create a super basic box. I can add another thing inside there. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Make it 200 by 200, or no, bigger. 512, 512. Cool. I'll just do a box, and I'll make it, red, right? Then what I can do is I can hit Command D or Control D and duplicate this. I can change the color to green maybe. And then what I'm going to do is open the prototype tool and I'm going to say when I click, so we'll click on this and we'll add an interaction. So when we click, we want to navigate to, and we want to navigate to this frame too. You can also click and drag to make that happen. But you'll now see that we have interaction details right here. And you can see that we have a little sample demo right here. So what happens in our animation, and it's instant. So we want to change that. We're going to use the Smart Animate tool, which will basically, it'll recognize that we duplicated this and it will do a animation automatically. So I can hit the present button. I'll click on flow 1 and you'll see if I click on it, it turns green, but it doesn't actually change back. And the simple way to do that is to add a interaction that when we click, it goes back. So it kind of understands that. We can go back here and you can now see that we can transition between red and green. We can do the same thing. We can also, modify rotation. So maybe I'll turn it that much. And you'll see that it does the same rotation on here. I can skew it down. You'll see that it's still doing that full translated motion. And so that's kind of the cool part. Maybe I'll make it corner radius. And you'll see that it's rounding. So this is a super basic way to do motion design, is to basically have a start point and an end point and use Smart Animate to kind of magically create all the frames between it. So that's the first, the super basic way. And I've created a few examples. So this one's color. You can look at the prototype. I did it on the whole frame instead, but it works the exact same way. So we have a few flows right here on the side. And so when I click, you can see it goes back from blue and red. I have position Smart Animate where I linked up 3 different frames, and we can do the same thing. I'll click, and I'll click, and you'll see that it kind of does the whole thing, and I can just continue with that animation. And then I made a little toggle. It's like 2 shapes. And when you click on it, it deactivates the toggle. So you can see you have that. We can even go as far as to change the type of prototype or the type of, I guess, like smart animation. So what I'll do is I'll duplicate this. I'll go down here. I'm going to remove the linkage that exists here. I'm actually going to add it to this little circle here. And I'm now going to do on drag, it's going to navigate. And I'll just write toggle 2. Cool. And then on here, on drag, we're going to go back. Cool. So we have this super basic thing, and now you can see you can now see that actually as we drag it, we have some control, and even if we click, we still have it because a click is a drag of basically 0 distance. But you can kind of see that animation kind of work in Figma. And so that's really cool that you can be able to do super simple, frame animations in Figma. And people have done lots of other cool things, but this is kind of the basic foundation of our understanding when it comes to motion design. So yeah, right here you'll see all of our files that we're going to send to Jitter. And so what we're going to do is first just going to add the Jitter plugin. I already have it added in, and I've also added this little brief thing here with some images in case you forget. We're going to go to this little Figma icon at the top left. We're going to have to hover over plugins and click browse plugins and community. It'll open up a new page for us. And we're just going to search for the word Jitter. Make sure plugins is selected. We'll hit search. And you'll see an install icon button. I'll uninstall it really quickly. You'll see a button like this, and all you have to do is click install. And that's pretty much it. We can go back to our file right away. And you'll see if we go to the Figma icon and hover over plugins, Jitter Animate Your Figma Designs is now there. Another cool way that I like to personally access it is with Command or Control / and you'll get this little search bar where you can write, Jitter, or you can type different things. This is actually really helpful sometimes when you copy properties or anything like that, so it saves a lot of time there. If you forget what we're doing, I added a little blurb right here. So first what we're going to do is we're actually going to recreate this animation right here in Jitter. I'm actually going to rename this right here because Jitter assumes actually going to rename this one the toggle. Assumes the name of the frame toggle. There we go. Assumes the name of the frame, so this will become our new file name. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to run Jitter. So I'm just going to do Command / Jitter. We'll have a little plugin right here. I'll say select a frame, and these are all our frames. So I'll click on this frame right here, and I'll just write export to Jitter, and cool. You'll say frame successfully exported. I'll hit open in Jitter, and it's right there. If you're already signed in, it'll now actually appear as a file for you. So this is our Jitter interface, and it's kind of similar to Figma, except it doesn't go as far as Figma is, because Figma is a design tool and this is a motion design tool. You can do your bare bones design, add text, you can add rectangles, circles, stars, images. You can even paste in videos and GIFs, I think. If we had rectangles, you have all these other options on the side. So it's kind of more of a dumbed down Figma, which is why I like to design things in Figma and export them rather than design them entirely in Jitter. You can probably design all these things that I've done here in Jitter, but I just wanted to show. When we get to our other examples, you won't be able to design them in Jitter. And Jitter actually is a really cool way of dealing with times that Figma has an advanced feature that it doesn't support. So we have our circle right here, and to kind of explain to you how the interface works, I'm going to hopefully zoom in my screen. There we go. Okay. So right here we have on our left side, you have export. We obviously have our zoom in, zoom out, whatever. All of our options. You can rename it and duplicate, delete. These are our layers, very similar to how Figma we have it set up. This is kind of our video, basically, the whole thing, and then everything kind of goes inside here. You can group things with Command G if there's multiple things selected. And then like I said, if we select the circle or the ellipse one, and by the way, it actually retains the names of your Figma things. You can see that we have layout, position. Positioning is, pretty close, but once you get groups involved, it gets kind of weird. We have sizing, angle. We can create donuts. Here we can add a sweep, maybe. You can see that. So maybe if you want to do like a loading icon. And you can always just change the angle of that sweep where it starts from. And we actually can control all of these things with animation as well later on. So I'm just going to undo what we just did. You can, we can set this to 0. We can change the, we should set that to 100%. No, 0, 100%. There we go. We can change the background color. We're given to just basic simple colors, no gradients. Opacity, strokes, and shadow. So pretty basic stuff so far. So what we're going to do is we're going to move over to the Animate view. And now we have this new thing pop up at the bottom. And we now have this, it kind of changed. I don't know if you realize that. You'll see that we no longer have our design options because we're now in the Animate view. So at the bottom, it's our scenario, I guess, view at the bottom. You might know it better as a timeline, because that's what it is. And it will show us all of our frames and groups on the side here and their timings along this. And we can play and loop it as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to select our ellipse one, and we'll write new animation. And I want it to kind of pop in. So maybe we'll do a grow in animation. So you can see that for 0.8 seconds, we have a grow in animation, and nothing else happens. And you can kind of scroll along here and scrub. That's what I like to do a lot. And we'll be able to change things like the initial scale. So when we start from this point to this point, where do we want to be? And I'd actually rather be at 0 maybe. So you can see that we get a different result. It's, we're traveling basically double distance now here. We can reduce the time, and you can see every time I change it, we kind of get a different result. If I made it like 1 second, it goes slower, 2, much slower. If I made it like 99, it would just, we would barely notice it, which is why I'm doing 0. But we'll do 1 second. And then we can change the type of easing. So this is linear, so it just goes straight. And this is how animation curves work. You have an ease in and an ease out. So like a natural, we can kind of see this kind of curve. It's kind of like a speed ramp basically. So in none, we're on constant speed. So you'll basically your animation will operate very, mathematically correct, calculated. It's all linear, right? But you can see there's a little graph. So we have natural, so it kind of slows down and speeds up kind of halfway through. We have slow down, so it decreases its acceleration. We have accelerate, which is kind of the inverse of slow down. And you can see it starts off very slow but gets really fast. We have elastic, so you kind of get this I guess rubber band feel. We have bounce, so you kind of get like you're dropping something almost. And then you have back, which kind of allows it to go a little bit further and then come back. A lot of the times it'll select a basic one for you. So I think this one was natural, and we'll stick with that. Cool. Let's change the color now. So I'm gonna add a new animation. There's a color. Oh no, wrong one. You have to make sure you have this selected. We're gonna add new animation. We've already done in animation. If you want to go out to kind of get rid of the frame from view, or not the frame, the object from view, you can do this. So I can add slide out. So now if I run my thing, you can hit the spacebar, you can see, and then it slides out. So that's just good to know. But we'll select this. I'll kind of have it positioned at 1 inch, or not 1 inch, 1 second. And we'll hit custom. And this is kind of all the options that were given back on the design view. So I'll click on color, and then I'm going to change it to red. So we'll kind of go with this. And so you'll now see that when I hit play, you now have, this animation. It doesn't have any easing, so maybe we do a bounce. You can see there's a really weird thing. With color, it's kind of weird to do anything besides natural, slow down, accelerate, or anything like that. Elastic and bounce are definitely very weird and confusing with how we do color animation. But yeah. So we can actually just go back to the front, can hit play, and you kind of get this. The elastic's really weird, so we'll do that natural. If you want, you'll see that, if I'm editing this, it'll only let me restart every time I hit play, or spacebar from the beginning of this. So we'll just click back here into this infinite canvas and hit the spacebar, and you'll see that. Cool. Now, what's really interesting is we can piece together 2 animations at the same time. So what if we wanted to grow in from blue to red? So we can actually just move this along our timeline underneath it, and then they'll allow to basically take up the same amount of time. So you can kind of maybe not tell. I'll change this to none, or you can even just have it start, maybe at halfway. So So that's an introduction to color. Let me add an out animation to this ellipse. Out, you can scroll down, there's a lot of different options. Let's do, or spin out doesn't make sense. We can do shrink out though. It's kind of an inverse effect. So this is our kind of end animation here. You can obviously decrease that to 0.5. And I'll maybe just decrease the overall animation to 2 seconds. Going right 2 seconds. I can move it back here. You can kind of see it's a little bit darker on this side because we don't have it opened into that area, but you can definitely access it by just changing your overall duration. You can also resize your layout of your overall video by just changing these different like standards, and you can see that our thing kind of just generally stays to the left, but I'll actually just change it back to whatever it originally was, which I think was 1024 by 1024. So that's kind of our end animation. Now you've made your animation. Now what? We're going to export it. So you'll click on the little export button at the top, and you have a lot of options. Some of them are for pros, so you won't be able to access some of these things, but for now let's just do like a 720p video, right? So we'll hit this, and it's going to really quickly export. You'll have a little watermark. You can get the pro license and you don't have to deal with that, which we have at STEMpump, to get all of our cool animations done for these videos and stuff, and for our socials. But yeah, there's your thing. You can download it, and yeah. You can also change the FPS of it if you want to go 120 FPS, but that's also a pro feature. You can change it from an MP4 to a WebM or a GIF or really whatever you want. There's a lot of opportunity here to kind of do stuff. Let's play around with a little bit more. So we'll go back to this circle that we have. I'm going to extend it to 4 seconds so we can have a little bit more playroom. And I'll move this out to the end. Cool. So let's add some more animations. So I'll kind of find out where we're at right here, so you can actually see the animation in real time. All right, new animation, and I'll go to custom. At least how I kind of deal with it is in and outs are for the in and the out, and then everything else in the middle should be a custom animation. So maybe I'll do a move, and you can kind of see that we have a move, but we can actually also drag this. So maybe I'll do move up there. Maybe I'll move again after that to right there. I think this is pretty similar to what we did. And I'll actually copy paste this color one, and I'll just extend it across this and make it turn green. Cool. So you can now see that we're like just bouncing around. And we can actually group these, so you can see I can group all these. I can also group all those. So that's kind of cool. Now you can actually shrink the distance of this kind of here. So you don't do this, right? Or if you wanted to slow down. And you can always just open these back up. You can actually rearrange how they are in order. It doesn't really matter because they're all on the same time. Basically, like these two kind of inhabit in a time that overlaps. So like I said, how this is basically all just visual, how you see it. Whereas this actually manipulates how your video works. This is also pretty visual when it comes to groups and stuff, so like on your end, but you can actually like arrange things and move things in groups as well as like do overlays and such. All right, so we can go back to our Figma file. We kind of already did this, so I'm gonna skip over it. All right, let's export our toggle. So our toggle, cool, I'll open that in Jitter. All right, so now you kind of see how the group works. So let's create a new animation. Maybe we'll have it twist in by 360 degrees. You can see that it kind of does a weird twist. We can do a mask and slide in. I really like the move and scale in sometimes. Like you can do a really big, like a really big one. You can do it. You can also do that. I don't really get why you would. But yeah, that's like, you can do that. You can kind of get like this cool little press feel. You can do like a bounce maybe. That feels really fun. I'll make that a second, so that kind of feels a lot more of a drop. Just have a little bit of weight for it. And then what we'll do is we'll animate these. So you can kind of see that it made this into an image. And the reason it did that is because the way I made the shadow. And that's okay. What I'm also going to do here is just kind of set up another version of that. And I'm going to add 16 to it. Or let's make it negative 32. And so that is there. So I just, for reference right now, so I can know where to move this from. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually create this animation. So I'll kind of go to 150. I'll create a new animation to this ellipse, new animation. It's going to be a custom because it's already kind of moved in. It's going to move and it's going to go from its initial value, which is 160, negative 32. And you can set this. So 160, negative 32. Is that even right? That seems off. Okay. Sorry, that is being weird. Wait. Sorry, okay, 0, 0. And it's going to end up, I guess, at negative 192. That seems about right, I think. Yeah, let's do negative 192. So you can kind of see we have this shift right here. So actually I'll delete this top one now, just because I don't need to know where it is. And so we have this much done. We have that toggle. Let's also change the background color while we're at it. So we'll click on this rectangle. We'll add a new animation to change the color. And I'm actually going to change it to FE. Not even FE, FA. E1. I mean, that looks good. I can go check what I set it to over here. Design, E0. Okay, I was close. We'll set the background to E0. You can set an initial value, but basically what happens is like you'll have a weird, it'll make it orange even though our design is green because it will just kind of mess with that. So sometimes that's what you want to do. You can do it. We'll leave ours green and you'll now watch. You can kind of see that kind of work. So we have this. And then what I'll do is I'll group this. Can I paste it? No, I cannot paste it. You can only paste individuals. And I'll just kind of paste that out. I'll group it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of set this. I wonder why this is so long. Okay, I'm going to split that in half basically right there. And then make this other one, I guess, that long. That's not the same, is it? No, it's not the same. I'll make them the same. Cool. I'll just kind of toss it out here. And you'll see that we kind of succeed here. But what we want to do is we want to reset it because it's going to continue going on. So we're going to change this. And we're going to actually make it go back to where it was. And we're also going to reset our color. So I'll grab this green. And we'll reset the color here. So you'll see that. You should probably make those happen over the same interval. Same here, actually. Because you don't want your move and your color switching at the wrong times. So now you can see that we have that. Cool, I'll just kind of toss these out here. And then I'll add a out animation for the overall group. I'll do this spin out and I'll make that go up there. Cool. So here's our full animation now. We can once again export this. Maybe we'll do a GIF this time. And it's looping as well. So it will kind of just, you'll see it drops, toggles, spins out, drops, and you can create really cool animated loops on here. A really cool example is on the STEMpump app. When you open it for the first time, you see this really cool infinite scroll of our courses and some of our camps. And that's a really perfect example of us being able to use looping, not in GIFs, but we use jitter to kind of time how we wanted our loops to work. So yeah, we have that. All right, so let's animate some more complex things. We can actually drop into these next 2 pages. So let's go into this first one. And what I've done is I've made like a very abstract, colory, just tie-dye explosion type social media post here. Just kind of trying to play with a lot of different styles that I don't really get to play with that often with STEMpump branding. And I really, really like it. So what we're going to do is we're going to export this to Jitter, and we're going to kind of see what we get out of it. So I'll hit export to Jitter. Cool. It finished. So I'll hit open, and we'll see what we get. There's a lot of assets in that one. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Oh, awesome. There it is. Cool. Okay, so we have all these different things, and we can kind of see how it kind of understood a lot of this. Delete this group. You'll be happy to know that basically everything, all this text except this top text is, what is it? What's the term? Yeah, an image. So we can kind of, figure that out from here. All right, so we have all these different images, and we can kind of get started here. What I like to do when I'm doing this is I like to kind of turn off everything, and then animate things one at a time, just looking back at what we have here. So I'm actually going to, let me move that out. I'm going to split view this. I'm going to hit Command dot here, just so I can see what our final thing is supposed to look like while we animate. This is really helpful. And I'll also kind of decrease this because it might be too big. There we go. All right. So maybe let's start with this top banner. We'll kind of start with this banner. I'll add a new animation. We'll do a downward slide in. And then I think what I'm going to do is, at least design-wise, I'm going to actually move this over like a ton. And you'll probably see why. I wanted to kind of do like an infinite scrolling thing, and I took the cheap way out of just taking the text and duplicating it a lot. Cool. Okay, so now we can like drop that in. I'll add an animation. We can do like letters, and then that's like a really long thing, so I'll also just kind of do that. Okay, cool. And then basically I guess throughout the whole video it's going to be having this, we're going to have this text kind of be doing, you'll re-click on this text, add a new animation, custom, it's going to be moving. And we're actually just going to move exit like 1,000. It's not even enough, I think. How far is it? Okay, that way. We'll do that much, and I'll kind of have it right there. Cool. So now you'll see wrong direction. Cool, and then we don't want it to be natural, we want it to be to none. And then I'm going to actually extend the whole video to be 10 seconds long, and actually make this how long are you? Make this 9 seconds. And you'll now kind of see what I'm doing. Maybe pull that, actually, sorry. Maybe pull it back so it kind of happens right there. And instead of a slide in, I want to change that, which is really cool. You can just change these things. I'll do a fade in. And then for this one, I'm just going to do a fade in as well. We don't even really need that because it's encapsulated here. Cool. So we got the top part done, right? Next is, let's add in this little thing here at the bottom. Or we'll do the gradients, I guess. I'll do the gradients together. So I'll kind of call this, we can group that and call it banner. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a gradient. So new. let's do a grow in, so it kind of feels like it's you know, coming in, and we'll actually change that to 1. We'll kind of set it right there. I'll set it to 1 second. Then I'm going to kind of do the same thing with a grow in, but I'm going to offset it. Maybe by like half a second there. So now we have this. Cool, that looks really good. And then what I'll do is we'll kind of drop in this thing right here. At least like kind of start it. We'll start it like kind of right there. It doesn't really matter. I kind of like to do things numbered. Oh, this. We'll do a spin in. We'll do 360. Cool. Then what we're gonna do is at the end of 360, we're gonna do kind of the same thing here, where we're gonna add a new custom rotate. And it's just gonna, we can actually just zoom this in. We're just gonna continue till the end. Just gonna lock that on. And it's just gonna go 360. So, oh, wrong thing. I applied it to the wrong item. To the buy one, get one free. Make sure you have the selected new custom rotate. Go to the end. We'll go 360. And you'll now kind of see, but I actually want to go negative 360. So it kind of goes like that. And now we have this. We should reverse that. We'll see how that reacts. Oh no, I want it to be positive 360 with this forward. Yeah. Maybe have like a little bit of a tie in there, I guess. This one also, just make it none. Cool. So we have these like 2 little things. Cool. Okay, now let's add our title text in, and this is also an image. In here, because the font isn't supported right now, and also because I kind of modified it and I didn't really want to make it text. We'll do a mask reveal. We won't make it zoom. We'll make it just go downwards. And I'll kind of make it that long, so it kind of just... Yeah, I think that's good. We'll just kind of lock it. There's a little bit of like a locking that it allows you to do. Cool. So that's in there. We'll add the vinyl in right now. Maybe like after that, we'll just kind of drop it in. We'll click on the vinyl. Like we're placing it down. So that looks really cool. So maybe we'll add a bounce to that. Or yeah, that actually feels really tight. We can just kind of increase it. Cool. And then let's kind of do some of these barcodes. So maybe you want to have this first barcode. How do we want to do it? Do we want to like have it kind of maybe like a drop? Shrink in. We start at 300. We'll do a elastic. No, bounce. Not even a bounce. Cool. That looks good. And then we'll add the other barcode. It goes on top of it. So barcode 2. Maybe just also just kind of duplicate that. Make it 1. No, sorry. No, go back. Go away. With a 1 natural. All right, cool. And then we have our little messages thing. So I'll kind of do each one of these independently. Cool. I think that slide in works really well. And then for this kind of like little response bubble thing. No, I don't like that. We'll do a slide in. I guess a response slide in. It'll kind of go right there. Cool. Cool. So I'll group these. Just say messages. Cool. All right. What we're going to do right before we kind of end out here is actually we're going to extend it. I'm going to extend the entire thing to 10.5, knowing that we have this gap right here. And what we're going to do is just group all of these things in. And we'll add a new animation where we kind of just fade it out. Like the last, I don't know, 0.5. I'll kind of zoom that in to grab a better grasp of it. Cool. And now we can actually click that loop button. And then just go to the beginning. And now you kind of have like a really cool, quirky Black Friday in May sale social media post. So you can obviously, export this, whatever. We can export this as a video. You can also maybe export it as a GIF at the same time. I think we can because they're all done on the server. There we go. And you can now see that there's our whole video. And even here, this one's exporting it to an MP4, then converting it to a GIF. This one will look a lot cooler, I guess, as a loop, because, GIF, I've been interchanging it. GIFs they have that. They have the opportunity to be able to loop just naturally, so you can see it. The coloring is kind of weird because the amount of colors that are offered to a GIF is a lot lower than the number that you can get with an MP4 or WebM. Or an MOV or whatever type of standard you want to use. But it still looks really good, especially if you're a little bit far away from it. There's no problem just turning this in. And of course, you get obviously more optionality with just a pro plan. But a lot of people, you don't really need it. And if you're smart, you can always just get rid of the watermark if you have that in an area. All right. Whew, that was a lot. Okay, we're going to end out this, which is a super basic interface. We're going to take an interface. So we designed an interface in last week's camp, or not even last week's, the week before last week's camp. We have this interface of a custom Tesla app. So I kind of dropped it in here, modified it, made it easier to animate. And we're just going to kind of animate all these buttons popping in. So command / jitter, export to jitter. And let's let this happen. This, on the other hand, compared to the social media image, has basically like no images besides this one here. They're all just either vector shapes or text. So it might actually give us the optionality of text. So just drop that in there. Yeah, I think it's all just going to be like the real deal. Stuff. All right, so let's first, okay, that's a background. That's cool. Okay, we're gonna group these together, and we're first gonna do a kind of a slide, a twist in maybe. We'll do like a really nice move and scale in. I'll actually change the 15 seconds to give us some wiggle room. And if I turn off this, you can see it's just kind of gray. Device, voice command, order. Cool. All right, so what we're going to do is we'll kind of turn these off. We're going to kind of see what we want first. And I guess we kind of want the order. So here's what we'll do. We'll have this. Maybe it'll go for 0.5 seconds. We'll animate the device stuff kind of coming in. Maybe we'll do kind of a grow in. Maybe let's remove that notch while we're at it, because that kind of looks pretty. It looks weird now, but it'll look a lot cooler in a little bit. Cool. So we did the device, so that's good to go. Let's do order. We'll do voice command last. So I'll do the header. So I'm trying to figure out. Let's start off with these with the model. With the model, what we're gonna do is I'll just do a slide in from the side. For this, I'm gonna just kind of I'm gonna change the font to Enter, just because I can. I'll make it medium just because it matches better with the semi-bold San Francisco font. And you'll now see that we actually have some really cool text options. I'll do it by letters. I'll kind of swap that around. Actually, I like to slide in, maybe a fade in. Let's do letters. Cool, yeah. And I'll also kind of make that during the same time as this in. I'm going to call that top, so you can kind of see that. Cool. I'm going to make this also just kind of shrink this entirely. And then for buttons, let's just kind of have a spin in for that one. That one should be 0.25, or not even 0.25, we can do 0.5. And I kind of want to chain it as well with the lock one. So I'll do this one here. Also 0.5. Buttons. So I'll actually add that. We'll call that car info. We'll drag buttons into there as well. So you have this top component done. And we can actually just run that. Cool. Maybe I want to speed this up. These buttons, it's kind of fast. Cool. I think that looks a lot better. Or maybe some like overlap. It would be pretty cool. Cool. Okay. So we have top done. We're gonna add the hairline. I'm just gonna do a fade. I think that's the easiest way to do it. I'll do a 0.25 fade. And then we'll do this bottom part. Here, I'm just gonna do a slide in, and then this parking thing, I'm gonna do a reverse slide in, and then a fade in for that. I'll kind of layer these on top. I'm gonna call it parking info, and this will be bottom. And I'll group these into a header sequence. This one's like super long. I'm just gonna make it like 2.5 maybe, and we'll see what it kind of looks like. Cool, that looks good. I'm all for it. Awesome. All right, and so now we can kind of work on this car. That looks cool because it kind of like driving in almost. So there's our car. Okay, and we'll add another fade in, 0.25, just super basic. And now we'll do our quick shortcuts. So I'll add this. We'll do a slide in. It'll be a downward slide in. And then this scroll I'll do. I'll do as a kind of a no, I like to slide in more. No, actually I don't. Let's leave it like that. Leave it 0.5, 0.5. We'll group those two into quick shortcuts, and I'll once again make it a lot shorter. We have another hairline here, so fade in 0.25. Then recent actions, recent actions, I'll kind of just, once again, like kind of ad-lib this. A downward slide in. I think that's what we did, right? A 0.25 slide in. 0.25 slide in. And then a mask reveal, I think is what we did. Yeah, we did a mask reveal this way. And that was also 0.25. So recent actions. Cool. I'm only going to animate the top 3 of these 2 things out the whole way down. So in all settings, you can just delete rows 1 and 2. You can even delete this reorder button that's down there. I'll ungroup it and then regroup it just so we can kind of get all settings. Cool. Order, cool, okay. And then after recent, hairline of a fade, 0.25. We're gonna add a all settings slide down, 0.25. And then this is gonna be an interesting thing. We're just gonna do these kind of as some grow-ins at 0.25 each. New grow-in 0.25. I'll kind of group these all into an all settings group. And then finally, in the end, we'll add the voice command, which will be a kind of a drop almost. All right, so here's like our I guess our kind of our end animation. Let me add those into here just so I have more, so you can kind of see how it looks. Okay, I think our total animation's around what, like 6.5? Yeah, 6.5. Cool. And yeah, that's about it. These are kind of the basics of Jitter. You can definitely, chain a lot of cool animations together and get a lot of different effects. But I think this came out really good for our first time. We created an interface. We already had an interface and a motion to it. We animated a little cool social media post. And of course, we made like a super basic thing while learning about motion design. But yeah, that's the end of today's camp. So yeah, have a good day, night, or whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you later.